Yes guys, welcome back to another FPL video. FPL coach here. Hope you're all doing well. Game weeks are absolutely coming round quick and fast. Game week 13 has finished and today's video will be reviewing game week 13, see how I got on. Also previewing game week 14. I must remind you at this stage here, game week 14 is a midweek round of fixtures. The deadline is 6 p.m. on Tuesday UK time, so don't miss that out. And then also there's games on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Then we roll into game week 15 as of the weekend. And there's more game weeks coming thick and fast as well. So if you like this type of video, please do drop it a like and let's dive into the video. Game week 13 review, and obviously there was loads of chaos in terms of the postponement with the Spurs and Burnley game. Obviously the weather in the UK at the moment is absolutely terrible, with the storms and the snow, etc. So that game got postponed after the teams were announced, actually, so about 45 minutes before kickoff. The Leicester game was sort of threatened throughout the game, and also the Man City game as well, also on the Sunday, had a lot of snow. So those two games managed to survive. So the Spurs and the Burnley game was postponed. That fixture will be rearranged probably the other side of the new year, I should imagine. It kind of all depends on if and how far sort of Spurs go in the UEFA Conference, and also if they get knocked out or progress in the League Cup as well. So yeah, that's kind of the chaos and the melt, because obviously loads of players had Kane, they had even Brownhill, Son, Reguilon, Royale, etc, etc. So a lot of chaos there. In terms of my team, I ended up with a couple of players obviously not playing through injury or again sort of getting postponed. My team ended up lining up as a 1-5-3-2, so very much sort of a Christmas tree formation, if you like. So Ramsdale picked up 7 points, clean sheet at home to Newcastle, played really well, made another fantastic save. I think it was from Shelby in the first half. He was on for an extra, well, for a bonus point, but he didn't get that in the end. He just got a save point, which is absolutely fine. We keep moving there. Mitchell picked up 1 point. I brought him in a couple of weeks ago. He was actually on my bench as first sub, so he actually came on for Phil Foden. Obviously, he missed out through injury, so he picked up 1 point. They lost 2-1 at home to Aston Villa. A disappointing result for them. But the reason I sort of brought Mitchell in was because I believe he's going to play a lot of games over the Christmas period. He's a young lad. He should be able to get through lots of games in quick succession, as he's a young player, quick to recover, etc. Cancelo, this one was probably the most annoying, possibly with the Foden stuff, actually. Of the weekend. So he's sitting on 7 points in the sort of 94th minute, and then they go and concede in the 95th minute. That was despite him being on the yellow card as well. So he had a couple of bonus points at that stage, and obviously Lanzini scored the goal in the sort of 95th minute, and it's sort of killed everyone's clean sheet. So everyone's kind of in the same boat. If you had double Man City, then you're doubly unlucky, if you like. But we can't moan about these points. We've had a lot of points in terms of Cancelo, Trent, Chilwell, James, all these types of players. So it is what it is. 1 point for Cancelo. He's now on 4 yellow cards for the season as well, so just bear in mind another yellow card and he will miss a game for Manchester City in the coming weeks. Trent picked up 9 points, played fantastic, won 4-0, picked up an assist for the Van Dijk goal, so really happy with that. He's been sort of the mainstay sort of defender wise, along with sort of Van Dijk, if you like, this weekend in terms of points. Reece James picked up 1 point, picked up a yellow card as well, so the same as Cancelo. They drew 1-1 at home to Manchester United. Again, similar to Cancelo, you can't have the points every week. Obviously, you want them every week, but realistically, if you broke it down over the last 4, 6, 8 game weeks, they've had a lot of points. So, on paper, the Man City game against West Ham, you could say was tricky, and also the Reece James at home, Chelsea at home to Man United as well. So, 1 point there. We keep moving, nothing to sort of moan about. Although I am thinking, Cancelo and James, these types of players will get rotated at some point, but once that happens, then you just stick with them after that, because I think they're only going to miss one game. You'd think they're only going to miss one game over this sort of December run of fixtures. I think to sort of mention is Chelsea and Man City and even Liverpool, to a certain extent, they've all got another Champions League game to play. So, and they've all qualified. They'll probably all get a rest in that point there. Now, Man City have qualified top of their group. Liverpool are top of their group. We knew that after game week 4. Chelsea have qualified but not guaranteed top spot. So whether they really want that top spot and think play the strongest team, or they just sort of rotate a little bit. I suspect you'll probably rotate as there's loads of games coming around. Livramento is the other player that came off my bench. Obviously, they lost 4-0 away to Liverpool. 0 points. So he came in for Harry Kane, obviously with the game getting suspended, so, or postponed, should I say. So hence why I'm sort of the 5 at the back. Again, Livermento's had lots of points recently. He's actually one that I'm looking at possibly selling over the next couple of weeks, but we'll get to that maybe later in the video. Moving into the midfield, so I decided to sell Raphinha and bring in Jota was a brilliant decision, especially obviously Jota scoring 2 goals in the first half. You're thinking happy days is going to get an absolute field day, and he probably should have had more with a goal or assist potentially. So yeah, 1-4-0, picked up a bonus point or 2, a couple of goals, so really happy with that. Mo Salah picked up an assist, obviously no goal this time round, but again he's picking up lots of points. He's my captain this week, picked up 12 points. Again, bulk of my points actually came from the Liverpool game when they won 4-0, so yeah, happy with that. Smith Rowe picked up 3 points, nothing from him this week. It was actually probably his teammate Saka, who his rival, if you like, in terms of the young contingent, if you like, in terms of wingers, who outshone him this game. He still played pretty well, just wasn't no goals or assists in this game. Nothing to sort of alarm yourself with. Ivan Toney picked up the penalty. I don't know if you guys have heard this quote, but Thomas Frank, the Brentford manager, said even last season in the Championship and even this season as well, he said that he thinks Ivan Toney is the best penalty taker in the world. It's a big statement. Now, Ivan Toney hasn't missed a penalty since he was at Peterborough, so that is, a good sort of 2-3 years ago now. So yeah, it's been a long period. I don't know how many penalties he had in that period. I'm guessing he had quite a lot, because I think I was watching one of their games last season in the Championship, and I think he said the stat came up, he hit something like 8 or 9 penalties in the Champ. So he's had a couple of this season as well, so it's definitely double figures. So he's picked up bonus points there in the game that they won 1-0 at home to Everton. And then Jimenez, I don't think Wolves had many opportunities in this game away to Norwich City, but kind of kept him in, thinking, this is a nice fixture. But fair play to Norwich, and the new manager bounced with Dean Smith coming in. That's sort of 2 games that he's been in charge, picked up 4 points. That's 7 points in the last 3 for Norwich as well. So he picked up 2 points. It is what it is. I'm probably going to keep him for one more game week and then look to sell after the Burnley game. Then on the bench, just to sort of mention, Ben Foster missed out completely because he had a groin injury, so Backman played for Watford. Foden obviously picked up the injury from the game week before, actually from international duty as well. Harry Kane obviously had a postponement, the same with Brownhill as well, so there's nothing on the bench. Livermento come off the bench, picked up 0, and then Mitchell come off the bench, picked up 1. So what that means for points and ranks, etc. Overall points is 899, so one shy of 900. Overall rank is 11,345, so that's about 1,600 green arrow there. So the week before that was about 1,300 green arrow. This week 1,600 green arrow. So we're climbing gradually, which I'm really happy about. At one stage, I think after the Liverpool game, I was about 7k in terms of rank, but obviously there's lots of players yet to play. So 11,345. Quite happy with that again. Hopefully next week can be the stage when I break that 10k barrier. So the game week I scored 59 points, which is not huge, but I think the safety score for this week was 57. So yeah, I've done well there in terms of beating that. Again, the squad value, should I say, has increased massively. I think it's gone up something like 0.5 million over the last week. So squad value is 105.2 million. I've got 0.2 million in the bank, so I haven't got much to play with after the Raphinha to Jota transfer. I made 1 transfer, which was a free transfer this week, and a total of 11 transfers for the season, and no hits at this stage. Okay, moving on to some injury news, suspensions, and some other bits and bobs in terms of maybe COVID, etc. So 3 players I want to talk about, and there is more, and I'll mention those as well. But 3, I think people maybe it's gone a bit unnoticed over the sort of the weekend. So Bukayo Saka, he picked up a muscle injury. He wasn't feeling comfortable to continue, and we'll have to assess him tomorrow and probably scan him. That was what Mikel Arteta said after the game. Now, I had a feeling, I think he might have done it when he scored the goal. He might have put too much venom and sort of power and follow through in terms of his strike when he scored the goal. So I think it might have happened then. He did sort of continue for another 5-10 minutes, and he went down once or twice in that period as well. And eventually he did get dragged off. So because the game was happening so quickly, I suspect you'll probably miss. I haven't said that. It was the last game of the sort of game week 14. So they played Thursday night away to Manchester United. So he might be okay. And I always had this ongoing joke with a lot of friends and stuff and family about Bukayo Saka and even Kieran Tierney to a certain extent. They always get injured in the game, but then they manage to play the next game. It just kind of happens all the time. So I'm kind of thinking that the same thing is going to happen. So he kind of just needs to build a bit more robustness in his physique and stuff. So they've got Man United away next game, then Everton at home on the Monday night, and then Southampton the following week at home. So some indifferent fixtures there, if you like. If you have got him, and the news comes out that he's going to miss game week 14, I'd imagine he's probably going to miss game week 15 as well. So it might be a case that he's, if he's out for a week or two, he's going to miss 3-4 games. So potentially it might have to sell. Norman for Norwich. Now, Smith said after the game, I think it's a recurrence of his pelvic injury. So the pelvic injury earlier in the season, he just got back fit and he might have picked up the same thing. So it wasn't definite, but again, you have to wait and hear the news about Norman from terms of press conference, etc. They've got Newcastle away in their very next game, which is a fixture they're probably looking to get maximum points in. Then they've got Spurs away and Manchester United at home. Now, although he's not, he's not going to get loads and loads of points, he's a good enabler to have in your team. And I know a few players have sort of got him in their squad at the moment, and they might have to do something about that. I think he's valued at 4.5 million as well. So it might be that sideways move to Billy Gilmore or someone like that, or Brownhill at Burnley, something like that might be the option if you're looking for that sort of deep bench, if you like, and make sure your squad's all fully available over the Christmas period. And Ben Foster, it was a surprise omission in the Watford game as well. So he picked up a groin injury. Backman played instead. We don't know, or I don't know how long he's going to be out for. It's kind of a watch this space, if you like. But they've got terrible fixtures, especially in the short term. Chelsea at home, Man City at home, and then Brentford away. So he could miss all three of them. Backman could be your goalkeeper. So if you have got Foster in goal, for example, Backman's your number 2, you just leave it, I would suspect, and hope Backman plays. And obviously, if Foster comes back the next game, then you're automatically going to have your goalkeeper back. But if you obviously, Foster was your number 1 and you haven't got Backman as your number 2, then you're in trouble there. You might have to upgrade your goalkeeper. It depends, again, with the type of injury. Groin injuries are never going to be a quick fix. It depends when in the week it happened. Now, it could have happened Monday, so he sort of missed 5 or 6 days already. He says 5 or 6 days to recover, and he only needs maybe 3 or 4 more, so he might miss the Chelsea game available for the following weekend, something like that. But it's just something to bear in mind. Just going to move on to some possible replacements next. Okay, looking at some possible injury replacements for the 3 players we kind of mentioned. A couple of players I didn't mention in the previous slide, I'm going to mention here. So Harry Maguire is actually back for the next game. We all expect Ralph Rangnick to be appointed as a new Manchester United manager, the new interim manager, should we say. So he's back for Manchester United. The Manchester United fixtures do turn after game week 14, so maybe a possible player to bring back in. Also, Ben Chilwell, I'm sure everyone heard about Ben Chilwell's injury midweek at Juventus, or in the Champions League at home to Juventus. He's a partial ACL injury, looking to be out potentially for a minimum of 6 weeks. And if it hasn't healed by that point, then obviously he might have to have surgery and probably be out for the remainder of the season. And obviously N'Golo Kante as well, he missed the game as well. And I'm not saying he's an FPL asset, but just think about the work he does, the invisible work he does for Chelsea in terms of out of position as well, and even in position to be honest with you, selfish running as well, or selfish running, should I say. So there's a couple of other players to sort of just mention as well that might affect certain players you've got in your team already, certain players you want to sort of transfer in or out, etc. So Norman valued at 4.5 million. I mentioned it in the previous graphic that it might just be a sideways move. Billy Gilmore seems to play a little bit more advanced now. That might change now. Norman's out for a period of time. He might go back and play a little bit deeper as a single pivot. But he's valued at 4.4 million, which is save yourself 0.1 million potentially. He's on set pieces as well, which does help. Norwich don't score loads of goals, but it adds an additional threat to his sort of armoury, if you like. And obviously 0.1 million doesn't seem like a lot, but it is a lot. If you can, if you all of a sudden get to a certain player, maybe a high value defender, save yourself a 0.1, that could help you out there. Bukayo Saka, again, these are all, if they are going to be out, we don't know yet. If he is out, then a possible replacement could be that you go to Smith Rowe, which will save yourself about 0.5 million. But I actually think John McGinn could be a brilliant shout as well. I think his form is gone under the radar a little bit now. Obviously, he scored at the weekend, and people are jumping on and thinking, his form has changed massively because he scored the goal. And Steven Gerrard's doing bits. He's, typical Steven Gerrard inspirational figure, if you like. But actually, his form has actually been really good throughout the season, and even for Scotland. Obviously, me being Scottish, if you didn't know that already, I watch all the Scotland games. His form has been terrific. So I think he could be a possible shout. And he seems to be playing a little bit more advanced as a double 8. obviously trying to break and press as well, that break lines, etc., and go and press, etc., could win the ball a bit more in the final third, which actually help Aston Villa possibly create some more chances and regain possession and turnovers, etc. So he could be a possible shout. I want to sort of mention is Conor Gallagher. He's valued a bit more. I think he's at 6.1 million as well. So you could get those three. You know, I've mentioned Smith Rowe, Conor Gallagher, and McGinn. So there's plenty of options there. And then Ben Foster, I said about getting Backman in. He's valued at 0.2 more if you haven't got him already. If you wanted to go a bit further, Sanchez, Ramsdale, those types of goalkeepers are all available as well. Okay, looking ahead to game week 14 now. I will say I'm looking to make no transfers. That's kind of my first option, if you like. I know it says option 1 in terms of transfers, but actually I'm looking to roll if I can. Now, obviously there's a couple of doubts. We've got the weather, which could also play a part, you know, potentially if there's other postponements later on in the game week. But also Phil Foden, he obviously had that injury as well, where he obviously missed the last game, but also we've got to kind of eagerly await the press conferences from Pep Guardiola. Now, whether we get that information before the deadline or not, I'm not sure. But he's one that, you know, if he's ruled out for a couple of more weeks, then he's going to miss 4 or 5 games. So he could be one that I sell. And what I'm looking to do if that does happen, you just bring in James Maddison. I feel like he's turned a corner over the last week or so in terms of his form, linking up with Jamie Vardy, obviously yesterday in the Watford game, but also midweek as well. He looked sharp as well and looked hungry, and the dip he had in form in terms of fitness and stuff, and just his form in terms of the quality throughout the game had dipped. Obviously, he had a charge in that period as well, so maybe a little bit understandable, becoming a new father, etc. So that can sort of play a part, which people don't really understand as well. So he could be a nice option as well. If this happens, it's going to leave me 1.6 million in the bank, and then it leaves me possible Alonso transfer in the following week. That's kind of what I'm looking at the moment. But again, like I'll just touch on again, I'm looking to roll my transfer and then have 2 the following week, and then still look to bring in maybe Alonso the following week and downgrade Jimenez as well. That's kind of my early thoughts for game week 14. Okay, looking ahead to game week 14 preview now. Like I touched on in the previous slide, if Foden is a doubt, then Maddison will come in. However, I think he will be fit. I think it seemed like he was almost touch and go for game week 13, so a few more days he should be fit for game week 14. If that's the case, then Phil Foden will start for me. Formation I'm looking to play is a 1-3-4-3. Ramsdale in goal, away to Manchester United. Cancelo, Trent and James, they're your standard 3. Now, I do think there's a big chance that Reece James could get rotated in this game. But I did think that the last game as well. So maybe he continues playing and maybe gets his rest in the Champions League game or the League Cup game coming up. Phil Foden, Jota, Salah captain again, and then Smith Rowe in midfield. So Liverpool obviously had the Merseyside derby. Everton are in dire form at the moment, so it kind of just makes sense to keep Salah. Although maybe Jota, you know, the form he's in. But no, it's Mo Salah. He's in terrific form. Okay, he's only scored 1 in the last 4, but he has sort of contributed with assists and stuff and has looked a threat in those games. Then the front 3 will be Tony away to Spurs, Jimenez home to Burnley, and then Harry Kane will be my vice captain. Obviously, they've had the postponement, so he's going to be, you know, and Spurs will be really, really fresh going into this game against Brentford at home. And then that leaves me Foster on the bench, who I think will be still injured. I think the groin injury won't be a quick fix, especially at his age, and especially the type of the player he is. Obviously, there's a lot of distribution with goalkeepers, etc. There is for every player, but in particular, goal kicks and sidewinders and drop and drives, etc. Mitchell first sub, Livramento second sub, and then Brownhill third sub. That's kind of where I'm looking at the moment. And then, you know, if I do roll my transfer, then it gives me 2 for game week 15. And then at that stage, yeah, probably going to be looking at maybe Tony, maybe Jimenez, and then one of those 2, and bringing in maybe a Benteke, someone like that, maybe a Josh King, and then upgraded and Livramento. Just pretend, all kind of depends on finances and stuff as well. So that's kind of my early thoughts for game week 14. Remember, guys, there is an early deadline, 6 p.m. on Tuesday UK time. There you have it, guys. That is game week 13 preview in the bag. Another FPL video for you guys. I've given you a bit of a rundown of how my team's doing, flirting with the top 10k, which I'm really, really happy about. Another sort of green arrow, and then we've touched on early thoughts for game week 14. In fact, they're not early thoughts actually, they're actually quite late thoughts, as the deadline is midweek. Remember, the deadline is 6 p.m. Tuesday UK time, so do not miss that. Make sure you have your alarm set, make sure you get your transfers in early if you can. listen to the pressers as quick as you can, get that team news, and then make them sensible decisions. And obviously game week 15 will be just around the corner as well. Last thing to mention is, if you do like this video, please do drop it a like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a comment below as well. How you guys getting on with your rank? Do you think Phil Foden is going to be fit for the next game? Do you think Diogo Jota is a must now? Harry Kane, is he worth selling? Is he potentially going to get Ronaldo in next because of Manchester United's fixtures? All those thoughts, I'd love to hear them down below in the comment section. We'll see everyone next time.